Yeah, for sure. I saw your tweet about, like week 10 on the lifting phase and stuff. So like what's those lifts been like? Are you doing like full body? How many times are you lifting a week? Like what's your
Uh,
lifts
so,
looking like?
so I lift 4 times a week.
Okay.
Um, but I go back to Gary Calcano. He's a
Mm,
Oklahoma State
Richie told me about
lifting
him.
coach. The
He told me
man,
to do his research on him. Yeah, yeah.
absolute best there is in the game. I've been to a bunch of different programs, and never to knock anybody of what they're doing, and not say they're not doing it correctly, because I think every program that I've been to, their strength coach does something very well that and unique that the other one didn't.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
It's like meeting individuals. It's like this person brings a certain attribute, but this one brings another attribute. Right? So, but I follow Gary Calcano's list since Oklahoma State. So
Okay.
we'll do full body lifts, but we're hitting certain areas. Mondays, and it's a lot of Olympic lifts, right? I wish I could literally pull it up for you. Um, but like, just say today. Today I went in. My lift consisted of hang clean, right?
Okay.
4 sets of 4 hang clean. Then right from there we go to snatch, right? We got 4 sets of snatch, 4 sets of box jumps, right? And then we go to 3 sets of shrugs, alternating grip, because obviously in wrestling, you never have the perfect grip. You got to
Yep.
train for all of it. And then we get down to the bottom half of the lift, which is we do chin ups. And this is just today, uh, followed by um, followed by some easy bar
Cheers.
curls, hammer curls, and then 3 sets of ab
Okay.
work. Right, so that's just one day. So I try to
Yeah,
lift,
that's a lot of volume.
yeah, and right now that's what I'm doing. I'm building my base,
Mm-hmm.
just to give you like people the idea that are tuned in. Um, last year making 65, I lifted, and I'm doing the same thing I did last year, but I'm doing it a little bit more disciplined and a little bit more calculated, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Since I already went through the rounds. But last year I had to stop lifting because I was such a big 65 pounder, uh,
Okay.
that I would have to incorporate more of body weight stuff, which
Well,
is
that's
ropes.
that's what I was
And
gonna talk about because I know you've done some FP stuff, right?
yes,
With Dake when
yes,
you're training at Cornell. How'd you like that?
I loved it. I
Loved
loved
it.
it. I think I have it's weird because I'm very big in lifting, right? Something that benefits me in my wrestling is my power, my
Power.
explosion, and my pop.
Yep.
And in lifting, when I'm doing these Olympic weights,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm getting. So it's a direct correlation that's transferring over.
Yeah.
Um, and excuse me. But working with FP, it was learning to become strong, not by looking like, not by building all these big heavy muscles. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It was learning to become strong, uh, with the connections inside your body,
Yeah.
right? Learning your body to a T and learning the connections and how the body really maneuvers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you look at Kyle and you're like, dude, you don't lift. Like,
Yeah.
you look like you eat weights,
Exactly.
right? And it's I think going along with FP, right? That's very much different from lifting. Is when you do FP, you also FP is a way of life, and
Yeah.
that's why I love it. Um, I think FP it brings in another side of the spectrum that we haven't seen,
Mm-hmm.
right? But this is also uh, it's helping guys with not only rehabilitation, but it's helping guys become better athletes and uh, the way their body mechanics work. I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, I did. I stopped lifting when I went to Cornell. I stopped lifting for a couple weeks. I did FP, and I felt a direct correlation of just working with FP, of how to use my body and what connections, um, and I was knowledgeable of what connections I was using and how to use them. So when I first started wrestling and was doing FP, I couldn't believe it because I all of a sudden I felt very, um,
in tune with your body, kind of.
very in tune, but I was very aware of my body control as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I got very good with body control, but also like one thing I haven't done in my wrestling that I noticed that came straight from knowing connections and going into my wrestling is I started ducking people. Like there's one tournament I came out was Bulgaria. It was in 2019. I came out and I ducked everybody in the tournament. And dude, I don't duck anybody.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm ducking people, but the ducking was just learning the connections of where I'm reaching and really how to elongate connections and then cinch them back up to get to, point A to point B quicker.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so I think it's something everybody should definitely research and look into because not only is it doing the connections and strength training, it really goes into being a better person uh, off the mat with your nutrition, what you're putting in your body, and really listening to what your body needs.
Yeah.
Um, and just getting you in tune with, circadian rhythm and things like that, knowing what your body's deficient in, knowing the deficiencies you have in your body, but what your body is sensitive to, whether it's like gluten or things like that. So I think it's not only just for, weightlifting and things like that. I think FP is a way of life to make you a better person as a competitor if you want to be, but as a person just to feel good.
Yeah. And so
Um,
were those guys at FP, were they working with your diet as well?
yes, well, more so it was Kyle on me,
Okay.
right? But those guys knew about the diet. I think diet came down to Kyle coming on to me, and I think it was the best thing that could ever happen to me. Me getting
Yeah.
with Kyle Dake, not only wrestling. Like
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh, how was the wrestling? It must have been amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. But off the mat, right? He held me accountable to what I was putting in my body, how I was doing things,
Yeah.
right? And Kyle really helped me break down that side of things, and it has made my life easier. And for the past couple years, people are like, "Oh, Jay is huge, this and that," but not once in the past couple years have you seen me have a bad cut or
Yeah.
perform bad due to it, right?
100%.
So, becoming more knowledgeable in that area and aspect of wrestling has just taken me, two more steps ahead. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
for
say it's
sure.
huge. It's not a huge gap you put in, but when you do these things, you take another half step to another step ahead of the competition, right? And if
Yeah.
they're not doing it right, they're setting themselves back. Um, so Dake would always be on me, non-GMO stuff. We
Yeah.
found out I had a intolerance to corn and gluten, so we had to start really routing, what my body likes and what I'm functioning at my peak performance and how I'm feeling. Like, do I feel good? And we broke it down to almost a science. Like, hey, when I eat this and eat this, I feel great. I can perform great. I'm not getting tired through practices. And it was like, there's nothing more beneficial than learning about yourself and learning new
100%.
things,
Yep.
right? So when you start doing that, you're like, dude, why haven't I been doing this for years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have won 4 national titles, right?
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I think everything happens for a reason, and I wouldn't take it back, right? So